I spent $8,000 on a dream trip to surprise my girlfriend. She ghosted me right after. Weeks later, she texted, "I miss you." But I already shared her goodbye with. I'd been dating Lena for just over a year when the idea took hold. If I could give her the kind of holiday people post about for the rest of their lives, views framed by infinity pools, sunrise breakfasts on balconies, little surprises tucked into every day, maybe the two of us would finally feel as solid as I wanted us to be. We were both working the classic 9-to-5 grind. Neither of us had taken real time off in ages, and I'd been tucking away bonuses precisely for something like this. So when my spring commission hit, I clicked book on a 5-night package at an adults-only resort on Mexico's Riviera Maya. I handled every detail quietly over lunch breaks and late-night browser tabs. Business class tickets so her legs wouldn't cramp. A corner suite with a private plunge pool. A sunset catamaran cruise, plus an upgrade that included a photographer so we wouldn't have to rely on blurry selfies. I even arranged with the hotel to have her favorite peonies flown in. Out of season and expensive, but worth it for the look on her face, I told myself. My spreadsheet tallied nearly $7,800 by the time I purchased travel insurance. 2 weeks before departure, I wrapped the itinerary in a reused shoebox, layered it with those paper confetti bits, and invited her to my apartment for takeout and a movie. When she lifted the lid and saw the airline logo, her expression flickered from confusion to wide-eyed surprise. She pressed the papers to her chest and said, "This is unreal, Mark." I remember feeling lighter than air as she leaned across the couch to kiss me. That moment alone felt like a down payment on our future. Travel day arrived at 4 a.m. in a haze of coffee and suitcases. Lena filmed a quick clip for her Instagram story, just the boarding gate and a heart emoji, then switched her phone to airplane mode. During the flight, she rested her head on my shoulder while we picked movies to sync watch. When the cabin lights dimmed, she laced her fingers through mine, tracing little circles on the back of my hand until we landed in Cancun. The resort greeted us with chilled towels and mango spritzers. Our room overlooked the Caribbean, and the concierge had arranged the peonies exactly as planned. Lena laughed, a real, from-the-belly laugh I hadn't heard in months, and asked me how I'd managed to find the flowers. Hearing her laugh like that felt like proof I'd done something right. Over the next few days, we ticked every box on my secret list. Morning yoga on a shaded deck, snorkeling along the reef, a tasting menu at a restaurant so dimly lit the waitstaff carried tiny flashlights. Each night, I slipped a small gift into her beach tote. Shell-shaped earrings one day, a handwritten note the next, a paperback thriller by her favorite author when I noticed she'd finished her own book by the pool. "Stop spoiling me," she kept saying, though every time she said it she sounded more delighted than admonishing. On the 4th evening, we dressed up for the catamaran ride. The sky painted itself in pinks and oranges while the photographer coaxed us into relaxed, candid poses, her leaning into my chest, both of us laughing at something only we could hear. I caught a glimpse of our reflection in a cabin window, hair tousled by the sea wind, and I let myself believe this was the moment our relationship shifted from good to permanent. Our final breakfast arrived on a silver tray, croissants, fresh fruit, tiny pots of espresso. Lena clinked her mug against mine and whispered, "Thank you for making me feel seen." I filed those words away, planning to remind myself of them whenever life turned ordinary again. In my head, I was already browsing engagement ring websites. This trip was supposed to be the first page of a new chapter. We flew home Sunday night, jet-lagged but content. She kissed me at the rideshare stand and promised to text as soon as her head hit the pillow. I watched her taillights disappear into traffic, already replaying every highlight of the past 5 days, certain the best was yet to come. I didn't know the silence waiting around the corner could feel louder than any goodbye. That night, I stayed up later than usual, expecting the familiar vibration of a goodnight text, maybe a heart emoji or a blurry photo of her curled up with her cat. Nothing came. I figured she fell asleep early. Jet lag can hit hard. The next morning, I texted, "Hope you slept okay. Miss you already." No reply. By evening, I sent a light follow-up. "Hey, just checking in. Let me know when you're free to talk." Still nothing. By day 3, the air around me began to shift. A kind of static. My text stayed unread. I pulled up her socials, not in a panicked way at first, just curious. Her Instagram was still active, though my name was no longer on her story viewers list. Her last post was a boomerang of her clinking glasses with a friend at what looked like a rooftop bar. She looked happy, relaxed, like someone who hadn't just spent 5 days on a romantic trip that ended with whispered thanks and long stares across breakfast trays. I tried not to jump to conclusions. Maybe she just needed space. Maybe she was overwhelmed coming back to work. Maybe something happened in her family. But then I noticed she'd changed her profile picture. The timing stung. Not because she couldn't change it, but because she did it without even responding to me. After a week, I caved and sent a longer message. Hey Lena, I'm not sure what's going on. If you need time or space, I get it. But I'd really appreciate some clarity. Just a message, anything. Read. No reply. I reread our last conversations, looking for clues. There weren't any fights. The trip felt like a high point. She laughed more in those 5 days than I'd seen in months. She cried during the last sunset because, she said, she didn't want to leave. I started questioning everything. Did she fake it? Was I blind? Was the affection real, or was it carefully placed because the tickets were paid for and the photos looked good? I told a close friend about it, Tim, who's known me since college. He didn't mince words. Dude, she used you. She saw a free luxury trip and took it. I didn't want to believe it, but it was hard to argue against the silence. The real kicker came 10 days later. One of Lena's friends, Melissa, messaged me on Instagram. We'd never talked directly, so I was surprised. Her message was short. Just so you know, Lena's back with her ex. She told people you were never serious. Sorry, I thought you deserved to know. I stared at the message for 10 minutes. Not because I didn't believe it, but because it made everything click at once. The sudden warmth before the trip. The way she kept pushing me to make the most of the resort. The perfectly staged photos. The casual mentions of needing clarity about her future in the weeks before we left. It wasn't a coincidence. I was her transition plan. A placeholder. And now I was just deleted. The worst part wasn't the money. Yeah, it was a lot. But it was the version of her I'd been carrying around in my head. The one who said she felt seen. The one who leaned into my chest on that boat. Who held my hand under the dinner table. That version of her didn't ghost people. But apparently the real one did. I didn't respond to Melissa. I didn't text Lena again either. I just sat in my apartment for a few hours, laptop open, staring at all the receipts and booking confirmations I had carefully saved in a folder labeled our trip. I renamed it Done. But the story didn't quite end there. Because a few weeks later, I got a message from Lena. And she wasn't gloating. She was sorry. Or so she claimed. The message came late at night, almost a month after our last real interaction. I was half asleep, scrolling aimlessly on my phone when I saw her name light up my screen. Just seeing it gave me this weird mix of nausea and curiosity. It was a long paragraph. No emojis. No hey. Just, I know I don't deserve a reply. I just wanted to say I'm sorry for disappearing the way I did. Things got complicated. I was confused. The trip was amazing, and you didn't deserve how I handled things afterward. I've been thinking about it every day. I stared at that message, letting it sit for a while. She followed up with another one a few minutes later. I shouldn't have come back and slipped right back into something I wasn't even sure about. It was a mistake. I know I hurt you. No mention of her ex by name, but it was clear she was talking about him. I didn't know if she was still with him or not. I didn't really care by then. What stood out was how carefully she was trying to admit guilt without getting too specific. I thought about ignoring her. I really did. But part of me needed to say something. Not for closure, not for her, but because I needed to hear my own voice in all this. So I replied. I planned that trip because I thought we were building something. You let me believe we were. That was the part that hurt more than the money or even the silence. I trusted you. That trust's gone. She read it instantly. Then nothing for hours. In the morning, another message. You're right. I messed it up. You were good to me, and I didn't handle things like an adult. I regret how I treated you. I still think about the last morning there. You looked at me like I was your future. I panicked. I didn't feel like I deserved that. That part hit differently. Because maybe it was true. Maybe she really didn't know what she wanted. Maybe she got scared. But it still didn't excuse the way she walked out. People don't ghost out of fear, they ghost out of convenience. A week after that, I found out she and her ex had broken up, again. Melissa, the same friend who told me before, mentioned it in passing. Said Lena had been posting vague, healing quotes and sunset photos on her stories. Lena messaged me again after that breakup. I miss you sometimes. Just thought you should know. I didn't reply. I didn't block her either. But I never engaged again. Instead, I started writing down everything I'd been through, more for myself than anything. Eventually, I turned it into a post online. People related. A lot. Some shared their own stories. Some said I dodged a bullet. Some said it still sucks even when you know you did. They were all right. And the truth is, I don't hate Lena. I don't even think she's evil. But she was selfish. She wanted to be adored without being accountable. And for a while, I gave her exactly what she wanted. I just won't ever do it again. Let her chase sunsets and healing quotes. I'll keep my peace and my passport, ready for someone who actually wants to take the journey with me. Now I'm curious, what would you have done if you were in my shoes? Would you have answered her message? Met up? Blocked her? Let me know below.